install either skin objects, providers, modules, skins, authorization, providers, all that kind of stuff. So what I can do is filter it by module. It'll give me just the list of modules. You can see that it's actually called rocks.suggestion. It's named after the book rocks. So I'm going to install extension wizard here, and I'm going to install a module, and I've got one right here. It's the FAQ module that comes with DotNetNuke. I'm just going to install it to show you the installation process. Okay. So now it goes through a little wizard, and it's showing you the information that's in this package. Package is a new term in the DNN5. They let you wrap license and stuff in there. So this is the basic information about the package. Any release notes will show here that you include in your package. Any license terms that you include show up here. And if you put a license in there, it actually gives you a little, the user has to click I agree. All right, to go on. If there's no terms, then it doesn't do that. And then it actually goes through and does the installation. So you can see that it zipped down through and it gives me a listing of all the things that it did. First it creates the database stuff, and then it installs the user controls down here eventually and registers the module and all that. So now, and of course I forgot to show you first that the FAQ module is not in the list. It's actually still not what I have to do. This is another page. So if I go home, now when I look at the list, I see the FAQs module is there. I can add it as a module to the portal. Okay. So that's the basic idea of installing a module in DotNetNuke. Now, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take the source module for this suggestions module that I've got, and I'm going to show you how to bring that in. And with the source package, I could do exactly the same thing. I could point it to the source installer, and it'll go through and it'll create the database objects. It'll put all the source files out where they go. It'll move the DLLs into the right directory, and it will create the module definitions. Okay? And the module will be on the menu, ready to be dropped onto a page, just like any installer, even though the source code is there. I mean, it also puts the source code out there. Right, I'm not going to use the installer, though. I'm going to actually do all of those steps manually so that you as a developer can see kind of the details of what goes on in an installation process. All right, so I'm going to go back over to my portal directory, and here's SFL. Under desktop modules, that's where all of the modules go. And I put the rock suggestion source zip file out here. I just put it there for convenience so that it was easy to demo. Right? It doesn't normally come there. And I'm just going to, I use 7-zip, not 1-zip, and I'm going to say extract files, and I'm going to just extract to the proper name, and it'll create my directory and put the files out there. All right, so now what we've got is the set of user controls, all right, and there's 4 of them for this module. This file, the SQL data provider, is actually the database script that's used to create the tables that are required by this module. We'll look at that in a second. Then there's an uninstaller for the database as well. There's 2 DLLs, and there's a manifest file. I'll show you that too. Then there's another zip file out here that actually contains the source code. So let me do a couple of housekeeping things here. The first one, which is done by the installer, is that these DLLs will get dropped into the portal bin directory, okay, and moved out of the source directory. Right? Let's take a look at the DNN, the manifest file. This is the thing that actually describes how to install this module. So, can you read this all the way to the back? Well, all right, so not really. That's what I'm getting here. Problem is I don't remember how to change it. All right, I'm not going to mess with that. Basically, this just gives the description information at the top here. Then there's a list of modules that are in this installer. You can have more than one in an installer package, but this only has one. So then that module has a friendly name of rocks.suggestion with a cache time, and each of the user controls are specified here. Okay, each of those 4 user controls are here. And then at the bottom is sort of a definition of all the other files that are dealt with here. Now, the DLL files are specified here, and the installer knows that the DLL file goes in the bin directory of the portal, so it just kind of takes care of them. actual ASCX files themselves and the data provider file. So it just enumerates all of the files that are in the package. Okay? And so the installer kind of knows what to do with these things. Okay, then this data provider file, we edit that. What it is, first you delete all of the existing database objects if there are any. So it just goes through and it deletes like the rock suggestion table. And you can see here are the database owner and object qualifier. So these are tags that have curly braces around them. And those tags then, those are the things that are in your web config file, and those get replaced through the installation process by what's in your web config file. So you have to, as a module developer, you have to make sure that all your database objects are prefixed with those things. Otherwise, if you forget one, that particular object isn't going to install properly. So testing is of utmost importance here. All right, so you're going to build this script. Typically, what you do is you build your database tables first, and then you use some tool to script out, the creation routine. So you don't have to write this by hand typically. Right? You find a tool that can do it for you. And then later on here, you'll find that it adds the objects back and also creates any indexes and constraints that you need. All right, and that's important. You want your module to be performant. You got to make sure that you do the usual database goodness. You got to make sure you index your table. Okay. And all of the tables then that are required. This module has 2 tables, and then all of the stored procedures come after that. All right, so this is just a script that creates all that stuff. All right, so I'm just going to copy that because I'm going to use it here in a second. All right. So now what I've got in that desktop modules rocks.suggestion folder is the sort of the runtime components. Now there's another zip file here, and literally what I'm going to do is just unzip that to here. And what you'll see happen is all the source code will appear. All right, so that file contains all of the sort of non-runtime files, and so now we have a project and solution file and that sort of thing. We also have a directory called providers, which is where the actual data providers go. And I'll show you that in some more detail. But there's some other folders here. There's images that are required by the module and that sort of thing. All right. So to get this thing going, we need to do a couple things. One was put the files in the directories and get the DLLs out there where they can run. Okay, another thing we have to do is we have to create the database. So you can go to SQL Management Studio and you can execute that script. But remember, you got those database owner and object qualifier tags, which you'll have to edit out, or you'll have to edit to be what they are. Well, that's kind of a pain in the rear. The easier way of doing it is to go to the host SQL tab, page, excuse me. We used to call them tabs, not pages. And if I paste it in here, or I could browse to it if I wanted to, and click run a script because there's a bunch of different steps in there, and then execute this thing. It'll actually create all the database objects for me. All right, so this is one of the things that happens during installation. And then the final thing that happens during installation is that the module, the user control will get registered by the portal. All right, so I'm going to go back to the extensions page here. Now I'm not going to install it directly. What I'm going to do is, well, what you can do is you can, and when you build a module from scratch, you literally have to do this manually the first time. But what you'll end up doing, and I'll show you the page that results. It's this, the edit icon over here for each of these modules. I'm going to do all right, I don't usually use the extensions wizard. Let me see here. So that's not the right place. All right, so I'm going to go to the module definitions because I know exactly what they're doing. At the bottom of the list, there's an import module definition. And it's under one of those links in the extensions. Import module definition will load a .dnn manifest file, and it'll set up the module registration. So if I look under manifest here, you'll see that, oh, by golly, it's sitting there. And it's a little bit of magic done just by enumerating through the directories on your desktop modules and seeing if it finds any DNN files. And if I import manifest, what it does is it loads all of those module definitions. All right, so let's go look and see what those module definitions actually are for this module. So we'll edit that